The Divine Animals Oracle has 44 cards. I cannot do a single reading explaining and expanding on 44 cards in one go, so I'll have to split the deck up and the video. I will try and upload all of them. Each might be short and lacking in finer details, but as I've said, this is a simple screening selection. Here are 44 cards from the back. I will show them in this intro video and the cards. A general number and alphabet will be assigned. Here's the number, alphabet, and the temporary ID will be listed in the other videos, so you know which one you have chosen. Hope you find these quick selections helpful and decisive. See you in the selections. Hello everyone, it is finally the full moon for set D of my Divine Animals Oracle card review, full deck review. And it has been long. Making a tarot draw of 11 cards, each spanning maybe like 10 to 15 minutes. Even in sets of 4. Well, all I can say is that it took a lot out of me. And perhaps after this is done, I will take a break for like 1 month. Well, the rest of the details will be in the outro. I'll get on with it. We will be showcasing the Divine Animals Oracle, illustrated by Stacey Demarco. Made by Stacey Demarco, but hang on, what is his name? Illustrated by Kinga Britschgi. We have here the classic Rider Tarot deck, Pocket Edition, by the illustrated by Pamela Coleman-Smith, planned by Arthur Edward Waite, and here we have the Sacred Spirit reading cards, made by Anna Stark, illustrated by Dyer. Well, without further ado, let's get on to card A. Card 1 of set D. Pile D1, we have the Seahorse, number 40, representing equality. I find it that it's really funny that it's Seahorse that represents equality, since it's the seahorse father that carries his young and not the mother, as with the usual case of the animal kingdom. With that thought, if there are any gay men or couples out there watching this looks like there is going to be good news coming from your surrogacy agency. You have been angsting and sweating bullets over this entire process. Even if you are not a gay male couple or lesbian couple, so long as you have been applying for surrogacy, adoption, fostering, there's hope yet to come. Most of the creatures of Earth have developed into a male-female system, where the male imparts half their chromosomes into the female and the female accepts it. This is reflected in the male and female symbols, with the male being a circle with an arrow pointing out, and the female being a circle with a plus sign. There have also been interpretations that the male symbol is based off Mars, the Roman god of war, and the female symbol Venus, the Roman goddess of love. On that vein, The female symbol could also represent the mirror held in Venus's hand, and the male symbol the spear and shield of Mars. If you have seen teenagers try to interpret the symbols, they seem to think that the male symbol represents an erect penis. They have never discovered as to why there is only one testicle though, so in general, it is evolutionarily undesirable to be the one whose physical resources are drained in the prospect of rearing your young to a certain extent, which is why many animals have developed ways to get out of that debuff. You have the snails, where some spar with love darts, and by spar I mean they snipe at each other with what might just be their penises, but detachable and can shoot up. So impregnation, and then it's time to bounce so that the other can't impregnate them back. Those snails are also hermaphroditic and still dread the pregnancy of making eggs, not even live birth. Thus, they don't have time to make babies. There's harvest to be eaten of the vine from Soul Inferno's pots. So, brood parasites are creatures who force others to rear their young, ensuring minimal personal sacrifice but maximum genetic spread. Alloparenting is a social system where all the young are raised within the community. This shares the burden with the rest of the system or the community members, elevating the parent sacrifice and encouraging them and others to breed. A bonus is that with more young, the chances of a predator making off with their young decreases as the community increases in size. There is also a more direct way, and that is gene transfer, mainly done by microorganisms and viruses. Then there's the uninvolved parenting technique like jellyfish and corals, who spread their seeds into the waters and basically cross their metaphorical fingers and hope for the best. Or certain salmons, whose main goal is to spawn and die. Those young don't need their parents alive for survival. Back to the seahorse. For seahorse reproduction, the male and female mate. She fertilizes her eggs with a sperm and then passes those eggs to the male's brood pouch. The male then leaves and broods his young in his pouch. For the young, the egg yolk made by the female provides the nutrients needed. But that's not all. The male's brood pouch also provides oxygen and nutrients. The eggs embed into the walls of the brood pouch, much like a womb. He then gives birth when the young are ready, and they come out miniature versions of the adults. Now that's teamwork. Most seahorses are monogamous and will mate for life. Due to climate change, destruction of oceanic biomes, fertilizer runoff, pollution, and human activities by the beach, the seagrasses, corals, and mangroves which the seahorses are dependent on are getting wiped out. With their main habitat dwindling, so are seahorse numbers. The IUCN lists seahorses as near threatened, with several species vulnerable to extinction. Those that are the most vulnerable often have limited geographic range. Spiritually, seahorses are known for growing romance and intimate relationship, love and compassion, responsibility and care, strength, power, perseverance, and unity. In Chinese mythology, the seahorse is a representation of the dragon. Unlike the Western counterpart of the fire-breathing dragon, Eastern dragons are water and wind related. For the West, the more popular understanding is that seahorses are Poseidon's chariot pullers. The mythological counterparts, the hippocampus, do look different from what we know of seahorses, as hippocampus have the front parts and legs of a horse and the tail of a dolphin. They are also the size of horses. The non-divine chariot pullers of Hippocampus are thought to guide souls of the drowned sailors to the underworld. In this aspect, they are the psychopomps of the sea. For our major arcana here, we have the Lovers. As if the hints weren't dropping hard enough, they represent romantic union, relationships, communication, bonds, sexual exploration, wedding, fruitful blessings, love, and attraction. Coming with the seahorse, I believe the romance ship has already sailed, and you guys are already in the family discussion stage. Seahorses have very deliberate courtship rituals, actual songs and dance, but in a positive way. So you guys might have met in pubs, dance-offs, or dancing competitions. Maybe one or both parties have a scuba or diving license. It is possible that you or your partner are within the Marine Ecology Conservation Services, or in the Navy or Marines. The card of the Lovers is also the card of spiritual meetings and emotional opposites, coming to an understanding, a compromise, and experience. They are the joining or not of two halves, but of two wholes. Half plus half makes one, but 1 plus 1 makes more. The former is the limited reading of the Lovers, while the latter is the proper reading. Not quite the same as reverse or upright reading though. The Lover's card does not make a hole, it makes more out of holes. The Knight of Pentacles is the Knight of hard work, persistence, and diligence. The grass is greener where you water it. If you have played the game of Stardew Valley, one of the game mechanics is marrying a spouse. What often happened when the game was new was that people would marry and ignore their spouse. Then the spouse would divorce them. Same here, marriage is not the end of a relationship progress. Keep watering that grass, date your spouse like you're still girlfriends and boyfriends. Pay a sincere compliment a day, and within that, don't forget to keep working on yourself to be a better person, not only for your spouse and kids, but also for yourself. Personally, I read the Knight of Pentacles as a messenger, so that's a possibility. It shouldn't be limited to that though. Keeping in mind my earlier words about the seahorse, this could be news about the surrogacy, adoption, or fostering. IVF pregnancies and long-awaited births could also be it. Since the single pentacles coin can also be seen as a wrapped child or infant. Long, hard, determined work has been done and more work awaits you. So keep on with that steadiness. The Two of Swords, the card of balance, fair action, justice, decision, partnership, intuition, and split paths. Here, the readers of D1 split into two groups. One group that are steadily in love, with a balanced, equal relationship of mutual respect, authority, and romance. The other group is in an empty shell of a relationship and a sham of a marriage. Paranoia, sabotage, and toxicity is rife. One or both parties are thinking of divorce. A main discontent is the separation of work-life balance and family duties. Maybe one works extremely long hours while the other wastes money, or one takes care of the children and housework while the other wastes money. There is definitely some sort of financial conflict on the conflict pile. There may be a small third group who may be within any range of in between the two. All you guys need is an open heart-to-heart conversation. For that third group, I mean. The Six of Pentacles. Yeah, the first group I spoke of before are the ones volunteering their time towards charity, giving family and dating advice to their friends, helping their family and pals to babysit. You guys are going on holidays, visiting warm beaches, getting your tan and flying overseas. You guys look like you're financially steady enough, with a steady rate of passive income from your investments. It is possible that you might own an extra home that you rent out. Being reasonable with the rates, as it is easy to look at public information, adjust to the regional rates, and then your renters are furiously slamming you online for raising their rents by 30% within a year, where you have already raised 20%. Just because you can earn that extra money does not mean you should, because you might very well become the main point of conflict for the second group, the financially impaired lovers. For this second group, a big reason for the conflict is stress from financial liquidity. Rents are rising, food deserts are widening, working hours are long, unsatisfactory, and painful to boot. Being overworked and underpaid is the main reason for adult life dissatisfaction. You may also be forced into sticking with a partner or a roommate you hate, simply because there isn't a better option around. With your free bandwidth, you don't have energy to do much of anything else other than sink into your pillows and dread another day of work. It is possible that you are living on alms, like food stamps, food bank, or handouts from friends and relatives. The future seems bleak, and judging from the second card, the second group may have all been thinking about taking their lives. Secret temptations, being led astray. There may be a newer, younger person appearing. A temptation. It is normal to think of spicing up the bedroom, but if you are thinking of opening up the marriage to save your marriage, the relationship is over. It takes two hands to clap, and no one no to reject. A marriage is a partnership. You can't sail on only one oar. So if there is one no to relationship decisions, that's a no. In the same vein, divorces. Only one no is needed. Legally, that might differ. But again, a marriage is a partnership. Sticking it out for the kids won't help things, as all you are teaching your kids is to suffer in a relationship. Better two separated and happy, confident parents than two married but suffering and resentful parents. There could be an instance of a deep injury. A cracked skull and hemorrhage could have happened. I can't clearly tell if there are signs of domestic violence, but once it happens, you need to leave because it only gets worse. That would be it for D1 I mean. I'll be moving on to the next card now. Card D2, we have the Snow Leopard. Number 15, representing the Watcher. Now, we have finally met this guy here. Ha ha ha. The same with all big cat and bush hunters. If you see the big cat, it has been stalking you for 30 minutes. They are well known to be elusive and hard to spot. Upon this card, we have the Buddha, the Lotus, the Dharmic Wheel, and the Twin Fish. It could be kind of hard to see here. Well, these are all Buddhist symbols. The Buddha is obvious. It stands for enlightenment, or aka the knower. Technically, Buddha isn't a god. They are more of very enlightened people who transcends due to their knowledge or understanding. The lotus means purity, or to rise pure and untainted from filth. The Dharma wheel means teachings of the Buddha and of the Eightfold Path. And the twin fishes means fertility and abundance. The snow leopard lives across northern Asia and the mountainous stretch of the Himalaya Alps. Cold, snowy ground and rocky surfaces are required for their camouflage to work. A nice tree line for their main prey, large ungulates like wild sheep, mountain goats, and ibex. Some small mammals like pikas, deer, and mice are also in the diet. The Himalayas have lovely meadows that make excellent grazing areas for these herbivores and mammals. As usual, the top predator of the Himalayas, they are also a keystone species and control the system that they exist within. The meadows I spoke of were made into grazing pastures for farm animals, splitting the habitat of snow leopards into smaller areas. It is also called habitat fragmentation. Humans guard their roads and farms with electric fences, weapons, and sometimes poisoning. The gene pools have no access to one another, putting individual pools at risk of inbreeding. Some pools have already suffered, reducing the number of cubs that live to maturity. They are classified as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List. These majestic creatures are hunted for their pelt, flesh, bones, tendons, claws, and teeth. Poachers trap and sell these exotic beauties as pets, causing a further decline in their numbers. Other than that, the retreating tree line and human encroachment forces these big cats to prey on farm animals. Tribal herders are often caught in between as political and regional tensions often lead to the tribes being excluded from better pastures and grazing grounds, pushing them to graze their herds in wilder and more dangerous territories. While the government can lend certain aid to subsidize or cushion the loss of farm animals for their citizens, these tribes have even less help from them. It forces the tribal folk to be even more aggressive in protecting their livestock. It doesn't help that many cultures whom overlap with the habitat range of these snow leopards hold the pelts of them in great regard. Social status, traditional wear, folk medicine use snow leopard parts. If the countries want to keep their sacred, semi-mythical, and political symbol, they need to enact more changes to the local system, remove incentives to poach, to educate, grow the tree line, and protect the herbivores which the snow leopard preys on to save these creatures. Spiritually, the snow leopard means wisdom, strength, power, destiny, harmony, leadership, and intuition. In Buddhism, as hinted by the artwork, it is a sacred guardian of spirituality, the king of peace. They are the protectors, guides, and messengers of the divine. We have here the card of death. If you are a Buddhist, this is a very auspicious sign. Combined with the card of death, this means transformation, spiritual renewal, the settlement of all karma, the end of spiritual debts. This could also mean that you are in or coming to an end of your if you are in or coming to the end of your reincarnation as a human. Whether this means you have reached nirvana or that you will now be reincarnated as a higher being, it remains to be seen. Everything comes to its own end one day. The shadow of your past ego no longer haunts you. You have reached the end of the tunnel and emerged in the light. There is a possibility that this means you have reached another stage of your meditations or practice. You are breaking through the glass ceiling and into a new realm. You shed off old layers and things that do not serve you like is your old corpse. In a certain sense, there is a liberation of spirit from flesh. You may have a long-standing illness. It could have been terminal and left you on the borders of life. You feel death as a kin, not an enemy. Regardless of your recovery, you have long made peace with it. Through that, your mind expands. All borders breached, you swell up spiritually and grow like never before. The cosmos seemed like an infinite river, and you thought your thirst so great you could empty oceans. You drink and see no end to it. If you are finished, I'm reminded of the White Death, the legendary World War II sniper from Finland. You may be a relative or inspired by him. He may be your personal hero. If you are in the military, you may be deployed to a place where it is cold and snowing, or training in the alpine or winter conditions. The Four of Swords. Prior to experiencing the card of death, your life was fraught with pain, misery, and conflict. But now past the phase of death, you can finally rest. It is a very deep spiritual sleep, as though you slumber both in body and soul. You might be hazily dreaming of making exquisite art. They may have religious content or be inspired by religion and culture. In any case, you have a deep, long, and well-deserved rest. You put up a good battle. Now comes the day of dreams. The King of Cups, a wise and empathetic leader. He is the master of his own emotions, his physical presence. His heart is strong and pure as the water he rules over. Unlike the other kings, who may be overwhelming and imposing, the King of Cups is the most personable king, a friend of the people. He is gentle and kind, and wears what is often seen as feminine qualities without shame. He is as nurturing as the Queen of Cups. He'll wear a bunny pink apron and skip into his garden to water the flowers with a cute piggy watering can. Diplomatic meetings and conflicts are solved with understanding and compassion. For this card to show up, you must be in a position of power. Whether you recognize it or not, the innate strength, humility, humbleness, sagacious advice, wisdom, all comes from your heart. And they are the things that you already have. The Page of Cups. With this card, you are opening up the dam. Perhaps you may not have been in a position or awareness to speak, but now you are letting your emotions flow. I see repeated signs of artwork and creativity, so this might refer to it. Through this outlet, you rise to new heights. You grow as you drink, and you drink as you give. Your emotions and love feed an entire kingdom, pouring out like the backdrop of this death card. Energy signature. The past is in the present. That new high of spirituality you reach unlock new secrets, philosophy, and understanding. The same scriptures or advices you have seen somehow take on new meanings and colors. Here, where you now understand, you find out that the path opens up at the top. It is not that the words changed, you know that, but that your paradigms shifted. The past have always been the future, the present, and the present, the past. One suddenly makes sense, and conflicting understandings dissolve. You are able to hold more in your mind. Where one answer would have ejected the other, now both answers can live alongside each other simultaneously. They do not come into conflict, and neither suppresses or obscures the other. This is different than what we might call double-think, because the answers by nature do not conflict with each other. They conflict due to the lack of understanding or openness of heart. With that out of the way, immiscible solutions can now melt together, a spiritual alchemy based on philosophical teachings. And at the note, I will say that if you haven't reached that stage, you won't be able to tell, but it seems that you will now reach that stage. There is a point in spiritual progress that you can condense your energy into an imprint or a core. It is formed of your past lives, memories, and emotions. One of the ways people can experience this is through receiving messages from gods. They do the same energy imprinting and send the energy mail to their target. Not saying that you will become a god, but now, as a human, it will become possible for you to write mails to gods. If this is your last life on Earth, then you have figured out how to condense and encapsulate your lives. You swallow it and move on to the next plane or universe. I will end this reading now. I'm moving on to the next card. Card D3, we have the Sea Otter. Number 18, representing transformation. The moment I saw this card, I knew you had a strong affinity in regards to animal spirituality. You have talents in shamanism, animal spirit medium, or channeling. You can create totem poles and living statues. Most of your innate talents and skills are in regards to animals or any range of animal spirits. You still have to practice, channel, and negotiate with them. In comparison to others who do the same, you have a head start, a leg up, and backdoor access into their hearts. Much of your skills seem genetic, not so in literal genes, but either your past life, family history, or place of birth was a highly spiritual location. From the first two options, it is likely that you are descended from a shaman, spiritualist, or an animal spirit in human form. Should be within the last 9 to 5 generations, unlikely to be your parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents. I don't detect any demigods or spirit royalty from that ancestry, but if they are far back enough and employ counter-scrying or shielding, I wouldn't be able to tell unless I do hardcore prying. Which I won't. That's way too much effort for random internet people. For the third option, it is possible that you were born in what might be seen as a weird location. In the middle of a forest, a tent in a grassland, or a cave. I have no idea why a heavily pregnant woman would be doing in these locations, but props to her for popping you out in these weird places. During your birth, your mother caught the attention of some nature and animal spirits. These spirits don't usually hang out in hospitals, towns, or cities. So that's why I think you were born somewhere in the wild out there. So what might have happened was that they treated your birth as a live stream entertainment. Nothing like the peanut gallery watching a woman give birth and throwing suggestions on how she should relax or push harder to get things going, in a sense. Now, I don't think your mother has spirit sight or a third eye ability. Or maybe... No, she can't. She can't hear spirits converse either. Because if she did, she would be so fucking pissed at them, randomly poking her belly and making her push you out faster. One or two might have been helpful and took the role of a midwife, but most were little shits. Due to the presence of these creatures, you absorbed some of their aura when you came out and took your first breath. They might have realized they fucked up then and fled. Some might have stayed back and in a little bit of a guilt added a blessing or two, then skedaddled. Back to the sea otters. They mostly feed on marine crustaceans and invertebrates, famously sea urchins and crabs. They are not beneath snagging a careless or slow-moving fish, but usually they target things moving on the seafloor. After catching their prey, they swim back up to the surface, float on their backs, and retrieve their favorite rocks from their rock pouch, which are this loose flap of skin under their arms. The sea otter then proceeds to smash their prey open with them. Crabs, urchins, snails. They then slurp up the juicy insides. Their natural habitat ranges across the Pacific Ocean coasts, on seagrass and kelp forests. Their babies float naturally with their dense fur, which traps air to keep them buoyant. Mothers tie their young to seagrass and kelp to keep them from floating away. Aside from that, Their natural prey also prefer such biomes, so this restricts the sea otters to such locations. Due to climate change, human activities, fishery conflict, and poaching, the seagrasses and kelp forests they prefer are dwindling, taking the sea otter population with them. On the IUCN Red List, they are considered endangered. With their disappearance comes a slew of problems as the sea otters are a keystone species. They keep the population of destructive species down. Sea urchin, having their top predators done and gone, have exploded in numbers, destroying the last remnants of kelp forests in several locations, requiring human intervention to remove them. It is taxing, expensive, and steep in training requirements to be able to send divers down to remove them. Moreover, with the destruction of seagrass and kelp, the visibility of these oceanic coasts plummets, making clearing sea urchins dangerous to boot. Humans can't use these beaches and coasts as well, since the forests control the sedimentation rates, toxins in the water, and food source. If seagrass can't live in these marine conditions, the fishes and prized mollusks like oysters can't either. Those that do take on a sour, bitter, and revolting taste, reflecting the quality of the waters they were reared in. Every loss of a sea otter is a loss for those who depend on the shallow sea waters and coasts for living. Spiritually, sea otters represent resilience, playfulness, agility, and community love, quite similar to ordinary otters. As to why it's labeled as a transformation on this card, that might be due to a myth. I forgot the origins and details, but it was one that placed sea otters or seals as a reincarnation or the representation of those who died at sea. In certain times, they can come ashore during the night, shed their animal skins, and party as humans again. One day, a guy spotted these spirits. He observed them and noted where the most beautiful woman's animal skin was. Stealing it, he waited for dawn. When the sun began to rise, the animal people put their skins back on and swam off into the ocean. Except for the beauty. Try as she might, she couldn't find out her pelt. It was then that the man came up and kidnapped her. He then brought her to his home and forced her to be his wife. She was devastated and yearned to be free in the oceans again. He kept her pelt stored in a box and left for work. Every day as he was out, she searched the house until one day she finds her pelts. She immediately runs back to the sea, throws her pelt back on, and never looked back once. The guy came back to an empty house, fucked the guy in particular, and preyed on the woman for running away. Trapping someone in your house and forcing them to be your spouse is a great way to get poisoned or stabbed in your sleep. More abusers should be stabbed to death in your house, and the world would be a much better place when assholes drop dead. Back to the reading. It is that story that came to my mind was why I detected that you might have an animal spirit or animal channeler among your ancestors. Not to mean that your other ancestor was a rapist kidnapper, but you get what I mean. The High Priestess. The card of burgeoning spirituality, feminine exploration, fertility, lunar prowess, innate talents, herbal magic, rest, intuition, mystery, consideration, and wisdom. Combined with what I detected in the Sea Otter card, I can safely say that you have a high degree of connection to the animal spirit realm. You might not know how deep the well is and perhaps only seen small inclinations and mystical talents. So far, you haven't decided to dig deep yet. I'm getting the message that you should. It might be the lunar phase or certain cosmic signs that will help propel you forward in regards to mystic learning and magical discovery. There is a time period that is coming or has come. So it's a good opportunity to practice. Be proactive about it. You have to nurture that spiritual fertility within you. Deep meditations, nature walks, somewhere where you can be as alone as possible without risking personal safety. Animal connection or no, a robber with a gun is still a robber with a gun. A spooked bear is a spooked bear. Animal affinity isn't omnipotent, so remember that. Three of Swords. Conflict of the emotions and soul, betrayal of the heart, rain on a parade, petty squabbles and fights. You may have suppressed your talents or spiritual connections. Your immediate environment is less than stellar for spiritual and mystic cultivation. Furthermore, magic or not, you still need to eat. You need to pay rent, transport for work, long hours in school, and so on and so forth. There have always been much pressing things than what magics and miracles you may have had as a child. To add, it seems that you have been shamed for your spiritual connections. Maybe the people around you didn't understand it. Maybe they fear it. Maybe they think it's kooky and useless. Maybe you have had a bad relationship or a string of toxic romances. You have been beaten down repeatedly and you're fed up, considering leaving it all behind and cutting off your friends and family and moving to a new country or state. You are not overreacting. Leaving human trash behind to burn in their own trash fire is a good choice. You are not their fireman, their therapist, or their mother. Let that self-igniting garbage power consume itself in the flames. You're heading to a new life far, far away from them. And it's the freest you have been in a long while. The Ace of Swords. Determination, cutting, justice, execution, breakthroughs, inner nobility, dignity, shining and piercing. It looks like you have already made up your mind to leave. You didn't even hesitate. Once the thought was in your head, you went for it. You dove in like a goalkeeper, sacrificing both nutsacks of the goalpost in order to keep one ball out. It came to you like a flash of light, as though a sword came out of your leg and you took it. By God, you took your chance to cut the shit out. Enough is enough. That flashing determination slices through all your decisions, your back talk, your worries. Before you knew it, your bags are packed and ready to go. Like the spirit lady throwing her pelt over your shoulders and transforming back into an animal form, swimming out to the sea, you ain't looking back. Ace of Cups. Now that you're out there, it's time to decompress. First, lots of tears. Lots and lots of tears. Bawl your fucking eyes out. Eat an entire tub of cookie crumble salted caramel ice bites. Ice cream. Swivel the nachos in the cheese sauce and eat the damn thing and lick the cheese off your fingers. If you are diabetic or have dietary restrictions, then go hug your plushie and ugly cry. Go to the neighboring park where lots of stray cats are and feed them. Let all the stray kitties in need of love and help cuddle up to you. Have a hot bath and wash yourself at home so you don't bring back fleas or ticks. Cry out, scream it out, headbang in a heavy metal concert. Stay off the alcohol or drugs. You are in an emotional mess and the mind-altering stuff will only expand that pain. Not to mention the bad decisions and possible predators in the crowd. Spirit messages, observe limitations. Listen up. Your body has limitations. Your soul has limitations. Your emotions have limitations. Your mind has limitations. When you are deep grieving, it is hard to make sane decisions. It is hard to know when your limits are and when to stop. That's why I'm telling you to make hard limits. 1 tub of ice cream for the ugly cry night, 1 XXL bag of nachos, and a mug of cheese sauce, 1 can of beer, and that's it. That's final. You can bawl and cry with nachos, you can bawl and cry with washing the dishes, you can bawl and cry in the showers, you can cry yourself to sleep. Limitations and schedules are hard, but you must. You have never eaten an entire bag of cheese sauce without falling sick or be devastatingly constipated, so don't push it too far with 2 marks. Heartbreak sucks, but heartbreak and rectal prolapse equals ER visits. Grief all you need, purge it all out. Only then can you start feeding yourself healthily, heal, absorb good vibes, and realign yourself. This will be the end. I will move on to the next card now. Card D4, we have the Goat. Number 19, representing reliability. As they say, you are the GOAT, as in the greatest of all time. People love you. You are strong, enduring, reliable, accountable, and an overall good egg. You seem to be a pillar of the community. Some of you might be firemen or work in emergency services. There is a heavy masculine earth energy coming from this card. So even for the woman, you are as indomitable as the rock. Nothing gets past you, and woe to the ones who think they can. You ram them off a cliff like a mountain goat. It says goat here, but the species depicted and the mountain cliff does imply it's a mountain goat in question. So I'll treat it as such. Mountain goats are native to western North America and the alpine regions of steep cliff faces. Tiny footholds and sheer drops. Not a lot of predators can get up there, so the higher they stay, the safer they are. Like this card here, you're a bit of an asshole and a prankster, especially during your testosterone years of teenhood. No kidding, you butt in conversations, rampage in trips, you were raised a hillbilly, it was a bad time. You were a nanny for your cousins, and your goatee flourished. You love comedies and sardos. I'm out of that joke, so let me know if you have more, cause I need to restock. Thankfully, mountain goats aren't endangered in most of their range. But with shifting climates and depleting keystone predators, goats and mountain goats have grown in numbers and become pests. They damage farmland, harass humans and farmers, eat grass, shrubs, saplings, and moss with little regard. For those that are threatened, it is due to the melting frost in the alpine regions. Their thick wool makes the heat a bad combination for these goats. In places where they were introduced and do not have large predators who know how to hunt them, they can cause deforestation and landslides. Roads become dangerous for cyclists and motorists. Nothing says I'm having a bad day like getting rammed off the road by an asshole goat. Due to their innate hardiness and stubbornness on par with an ox, their cold tolerance, climbing strength, and fearlessness, invasive mountain goats colonize mountain ranges easily. They drive out the local herbivores and bully small mammals. They can threaten and possibly kill larger sheep and less stocky deer due to their aggression. Larger herbivores aren't that much safer as deer, elk, or sheep aren't meant to butt heads and take damage clashing with a goat. At the very best, they are meant to spar with their own species. So the wrong matchup with the mountain goat can seriously damage these large herbivores. Furthermore, deers, elks, and horses have poor side profile defense. They can be pushed down or have their legs broken by a group ramming into them the right or the wrong time. The adults may be able to escape a goat's harassment, but young herbivores can be trampled or gored to death easily. Mountain goats are well-known bastards, and the reasons I have listed aren't the most of them. The Sun. Fortunately, those roid rage years are long past. Now, you have a fathomable solidity, that allows others to lean on you for support. You have an all-father vibe, in fact. Like, you are the community grandfather. You have scars and wrinkles like a mountainside on your face. You have a deep and aged eye smile. People feel safe and protected around you. Your cloudy years are long past, and the children of your community bask in your radiance. You have experienced some hard years in the past, and your asshole could have been a self-defense mechanic. But since then, your sharp edges are getting rounded off. You still aren't a smooth pebble, so no, some scars run too deep. But you are like a grandfather tree, silently tolerating the little monkeys known as children climb over you and color your face with glitter glue, crayon, and markers. You're a well-known stoic as well. 5 of Wands. When there is a conflict in your neighborhood, you go up to them and bonk them on their heads. There may be some gang presence in your neighborhood, but you have managed to garner some respect and decency from them. Street hoodlums know who you are and stay away from you, or creating trouble around you. Internal and community conflicts settle quickly and easily once you become the mediator. You are quite the beacon of peace and stability. 3 of Cups. People toast to your health. You are called to name kids, to start festivals. You are the center of your community and everyone helps each other out. Not that there will never be interpersonal conflict and jealousies, but you're always dependable enough to smooth things over, settle and talk things out. You might be related to someone blessed by Hecate, the three-faced goddess of magic and crossroads. Your direct relation to the goddess is vague and distant, though this could be due to the dilution by the number of audience watching this. 2 of Swords. You are quite the judicious person. Your steadiness is a staple, your advisors are well respected. You might have done jury duty more than once and helped the Sword of Justicia shine through that. Your internal morals are solid and you are impossible to bribe. Like Justicia, you see past their wealth, their status, their connections, and cut all the way through to the bone to who they truly are. Maybe you work in legislation or law, but that might be only a few of the audience here. Eternal union, new love is forming. It doesn't really seem like a new love, but an old romance taken to the next step. You could have had a frog tomatoes romantic life. Not so much idol of your actions, but more of the people around you guys. It could be that the family of your love refused to accept you based on your past and not who you are in the present, and what you have done to make up for the mistakes of your past. It doesn't feel like a May-December relationship, and somehow both parties feel like middle-aged or older. Either way, both of you are content to spend the rest of the years together, however long they may be or are left. This feels like a long time coming. Alright D4, this looks like the end. It's a speedy and straightforward reading, so I'll be going on now. Bye! Number D5, we have the Swan. Number is 20, representing beauty. I feel certain traces of Aphrodite, Justice, and the Star card from these images. Aphrodite because Swan, as Swan and Sparrows were considered representations of her. Justice because of the blindfold, and Star because of the pool of water this woman is immersing herself in. Swans are waterfowl that mate for life, so despite the legends and sayings of swan songs, most swans can only trumpet, honk, hiss, or snort, completely unlike the legends of ethereal singing moments before death. Swans are more likely to sing during courtship and mating, not death. However, it is likely that extinct species may have made musical or haunting notes when they were hunted by humans or injured. It could have in this manner, it could have served as a warning call for the other swans or birds in the areas that there is a predator nearby and to flee or lay low until it leaves. Whether or not it is meant to be beautiful, it is certain or suspected that humans thought it was. In any case, the interpretations of recent years revolve around romance, partnership, beauty, wisdom, sexual awakening, purity, gracefulness, dance, and marriage. Swans are proud animals that are very protective of their young, called cygnets. The parents raise their young together, and swans have been known to attack humans and pets who get too close to where their nests are. Swan attacks can leave nasty bruises, sometimes requiring stitches, and there are cases of broken wrists from an attacking swan. That said, swan rides among real swans are popular destinations for young couples and tourist attractions in France and England alike. Those swans are usually mute swans, who, just like their namesake, don't make much noise. They may look delicate, but those wings and beak are strong. I honestly wonder who would win, 100 cobra chickens or 10 mute swans. The story of the ugly duckling is well known among children's stories, where a duckling who was dark and drab was singled out among a group of fluffy white ducklings and made fun of. When it grew up, it became a beautiful and gorgeous swan, more beautiful than the ducks who mocked them. To this I say, have you seen ducks? It is only the domesticated ducks that are drab and single-toned, and that's because evenly colored feathers dye better and sell well. Among ducks, wood ducks and mandarin ducks are beautiful as fuck. Even non-wood or mandarin ducks have many toned feathers. There are many shades. Brown can come in with like white highlights. Beautiful or not, ducks are not boringly colored. And why are cygnets considered ugly? Do the writers hate fluffy animals, or do they have prejudice against young waterfowl? I can shrug it off as like just a children's story, but yeah. How can they be ugly? Judgment. Now I'm thinking of the trumpet swans, the ones that really make the loud trumpeting and honking noises. Seriously, you should go watch a YouTube video of it. The Judgment card is a card of final reckoning, the death toll, survival after disaster, freedom, salvation, awakening, and a dissolution of karmic debt. You may be beautiful now, but it seems that your beauty came at a price. It is possible that you grew up ugly. Before your glow-up years, you suffered lots of bullying due to your looks. You may have had a cleft lip that has since been restored, but the pain in your heart remains. For those ugly on the outside, your insides are beautiful. For those beautiful on the outside, your insides are ugly. For those average in both, your life and destiny was steep and harsh. You can't win at everything, and every wish has a price. I sense that some of my audience are or were bullies. Your past is coming to fruition, and the horrors you unleashed on others will return back to you in full force. If this card was justice, You may have a chance to apologize, to make amends, to change. But now, as the judgment, the punishment is set and God's words are absolute. Nothing can sway the path of karma. When I say karma dissolution, it pops on your head. For those who have suffered bullying, your bully is going to suffer a deep and steep downfall. There seems to be a serious lawsuit heading their way. Perhaps more than one victim decided to step up. Or the bullies, were exposed in a child abuse case. Your bullies might seem young, but their downfall is permanent. They will never ever be able to raise their heads in society again, and their intended career is over. They will probably have to leave the country somewhere, where they will have to learn a new language and culture before they can be accepted again, literally by people who don't know and have never seen them before. For the bullies, my reading for you ends here, as there are no more messages for you, and the rest are meant for those who haven't been bullies. Can't say I feel bad for you guys. The Ace of Wands, an opportunity of growth. For those who are bullies, of course, your life is turning around. The act of justice and retribution have left your heart lightened and unburdened. You can plant seeds now, mosses of growth and wealth. Slowly, you build yourself up by watering your shoots until one day you step out of your house and there it is, a forest. Greenery like no other, greenery that you cultivated. You feel like a fairy. Maybe you even dress up as a pixie on Halloween. When life gives you lemons, nah, there aren't any lemons given, it's straight up honey bush. The Two of Cups, partnership. Having regained self-confidence and growing your personality, you find the strength to make friends, to hang out with people again. You visit social conventions, small but wholesome parties. Nothing too hardcore, but, well, you're still a little shy and introverted. Just comfortable enough to not push you back into the panic zone. It is possible that you might meet a romantic partner, but being fair, you'll reject or delay such relationships. When you are ready, you might dip your toes back into the dating scene. But right now, currently, you are still warming yourself up by the fire and enjoying close, non-romantic or sexual relationships. There are shadows behind you and under your feet, but you managed. Little by little, they fade under the sun. Knight of Cups. Your emotions grow strong. You grow more confident than you ever have been. You feel the sun of your life peeking around the corner. There is stability and grace. Finally, you are blooming as the swan. Exiting as the ugly duckling, you feel natural in your own skin, comfortable and relaxed. You are in control of your own emotions and you extend further out into the world. You explore new things. There may be a riding championship or some activity with horses. Perhaps jousting. Your artistic ability increase on the precipice of mastery, but not quite there. You still have a lot of training to go. Emotional challenges. Resolve the issue. During the peak of your life, you experience the dark night of the soul. It seems that the latent problems that you have blindfolded yourself to have begun to crack open. Some problems in yourself, your emotions that you did not solve, you suppressed and ignored it. It's fine, I'm not blaming you. Those beautiful years were healing. What must come will. This event might throw everything upside down. It is natural for the dark night of the soul to force everything into question, to taint old memories and change the context of all your
beliefs. But you managed. This time, the shattering was not 1,000 pieces, but 100. Only 100, you think to yourself? Not an impossible task, and neither it is walking out from it as compared to the first time. On that day, you are older, stronger, more resilient, more graceful, more beautiful. It is then that you have realized how much you have grown. Suddenly, all your perspectives jostle and put themselves back into order. You seem to automatically sort yourself back, and suddenly the dark night of the soul is over. You look around and say, what the heck? You feel like shouting back down the tunnel, hello? Is anybody there? Like, no monsters, no night terrors, one jump scare, and that was it. You shrug and walk off. Damn, that was weird, you think to yourself. And that is it for D5. I'm going to move on to the next card now. Bye! Card D7, you have the Mirror Cat. Number 60, representing responsibility. Okay, now spoiler alert, my extensive knowledge of mirror cats comes almost exclusively from the documentary series Mirror Cat Manor. So I will treat you like you are a meerkat being filmed. I'm going to assume that you are perpetually online, with online posts, live streams, videos, gamings, and so on. Lots of cameras on you, even in private times. Like, you can't even cheat in peace. There is always that one guy with a camera on you, filming everything and showing the world. Someone else probably has a dedicated relationship chart featuring all your romances, pregnancies, and miscarriages. Too much online, you have little to no privacy. It is not only bad for you, it is bad for your family as well. Because of you, none of them have their own privacy. They get stalked, harassed, threatened, excluded, and prioritized unfairly based on how related they are to you. There might also be a filming crew, stalker group, local packs dedicated to maintaining 100% transparency of you online. For everyone and anyone to preview. You can't even shit in peace. As a mirror cat, you are in a social system that may or may not be regionally isolated, depending on your direct environment. Where there plenty are, the size of your social group and interrelations with other group increases. Otherwise, it's basically you and your family against a desertifying landscape. For the latter, online presence may be a way to combat loneliness and connect further out, but that in itself has its own problems. You have a family group whom you mainly serve and live in a community with other family groups. With all these family groups together, you guys are called a mob. Perhaps with some or no association with crime mob families, but that is way over my paycheck and I will elect to ignore it. You have morning rituals, not exactly sunning your belly, but it might involve going or working outside. Maybe your power generator requires restarting every once in a while, or it is located in a shed outdoors where you have to flex to crank that bad boy back in action. Or you are that annoying neighbor revving your truck engine at 4 AM in the fucking morning. Seriously, stop doing that. Your neighbors deserve sleep. As always in the morning, you stumble and totter about, bumping into things and people all the time. You may have panda eyes from the lack of sleep or health-related disease, or an unfortunate habit of looking directly in the sun to judge time. That is going to destroy your eyes one day. It is already slowly happening, but you can't tell how much you are squinting in the normal lighting because of how slow the encroaching damage is. You aren't quite the sole breadwinner. Your family community has plenty of breadwinners, and you are the one of the many. It takes a village to raise a child, as they say, but you are one of the working, responsible adults, and your daily wage or workloads keeps things chugging along. Sometimes you have fleeting dreams, desires, and wonders of what life would be away from all of this. Then the machine beeps, splutters, or gasps, and you are back to your chores. You are not the only one to do this job, you are the one of the many. And when you are past, another youngin will step up in your place doing the same for another few decades. Any change to your community comes slowly, and that takes widespread agreement before things or changes are enacted. Things have happened before to scatter the community many times. Some disasters have created splinter groups that broke off from your community. They might even view themselves as the main community and you guys as a splinter group. You guys scatter and regroup, scatter and regroup. Somewhere in a point of time, groups splitting off in chunks seem normal now. Spiritually, Meerkat represents vigilance, awareness, caution, group work, community life, and awareness. In certain African tribes, they are the angels of the sun god that caution against lone travelers, straying herd animals, and protecting villages. There may be an obscure myth about how meerkats are the ones responsible for painting the colors of the animals, but I have so far been unable to track down the myth. Let me know in the comments of you if you know that myth. The High Priestess. You need rest, my man. The High Priestess represents and advises healing, gentle femininity, stillness, rest, passivity, mystery, lunar cycles, mystic knowledge, intuition, scrying, studies, introversion, fertility, rituals, and rites. It looks like you are overworking yourself, especially in the physical department. The path of plentiful harvest takes rest and reorganization. Scorn not the silence of winter, but enjoy the time of reflection, family bonding, songs, and celebrations. For those who overshare online, it is time to rein things in. Allow yourself to keep secrets, not comment, and stay out of public affairs. You have a higher responsibility to your family and community than the internet. Block people badgering you for updates on personal situations. Follow the advice of the High Priestess and get a personal therapist, a family therapist, as well as a marriage counselor to work through your problems. You need a trained, neutral, and professional third party to help you with your situations. You need external and professional help to moderate and sort things out. If you experience a crowded and busy headspace, that's a big get help sign that you definitely need. Start with 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes where you and your family talk honestly to each other with no phones or the internet. When you guys are more comfortable, extend that time to 20 minutes. It may take weeks or months, but when you guys manage to reach 1 hour together as a family without online attention and honest heart-to-heart talk, you will find the family dynamics changing for the better. Like squeaky, rusty wheels, it is going to be grating the first few times. Keep going for therapy. It's like adding lubricant to rusty family gears. You have to keep cranking those old gears and keep running the engine till it purrs. Don't only focus on family. The High Priestess also represents internal healing and reflection. You yourself have to resist 10 minutes without phones or internet that is not trying to consume your attention with some other work. Sit alone. Rest for 10 minutes a day. No chores, no talking, no fidgety hands. Don't try to distract yourself. No entertainment. breathe alone by yourself for 10 minutes. Get more comfortable, extend that time, reach 1 hour. In both family time and alone time, don't push it too hard, too fast. You promised 10 minutes, so keep to it. Stop cycling that old gunk and pour out the dirty coolant. Cause there is a lot of personal and interpersonal relationships you have to work through. King of Swords, power, authority, decisions, rationality, decisiveness, justice, and action. The King of Swords does not hesitate. The time of deliberation is over. It is now the time of action. There are things that are meant to be cut through to the meat of the matter, or better yet, cut to the bone. Certain matters have already gone gangrenous. It has festered on for far too long. Now, you need to amputate the limb. The limb or your life. This decision is never easy, but one you must make. It might not be your own limbs either, but the limbs of your children or family. Socially, there could be some members of the family or community that must be cut out, like a gangrenous limb. They cannot be allowed to fester any longer. Not only will they not fracture the community at large, they will take the entire community with them into flames and ashes. They are the tumors that will not leave, and you must excise the wound. Remember, cut solidly and cut straight. You cannot hesitate. 8 of Cups. You must leave something behind. Do not sink into the affair. You have invested heavily into an emotional and financial affair, and it is time to walk away. It could be possible that you need to leave your community and family behind. You may have sunk years and decades into it. You may only have a few years left, but better a peaceful last few years than a chaotic few months. Cause I guarantee you that drama and infighting is going to cost you your life. You are not the healthiest person out there, and stressful situations will only shorten your life further. Your golden years deserve to be lived in peace and small comforts while you still have a decent nest egg left. Some people are just broken, and you can patch them up all you want, but they will throw themselves off a cliff again and again. Walking away from them and allowing themselves to suffer, truly suffer, the consequences of their actions is better for them than your help. Sunk cost fallacy is real, and you are deep in the mires of that fallacy. Page of Pentacles. Now that you have kicked out the trash, you will find that the air around you clears up considerably. Your frowns lessen and your smiles increase. You find that you are able to take delight in the small things that you have brushed off as inconsequential in the past. Well, they were not inconsequential, but you were just too high-strung, too depressed, too squeezed of any bandwidth to care and appreciate the small things. Tiny flotsams of light flutter around you. It could be possible that you live in an area with fireflies, or what it is also called lightning bugs. By the time this page of Pentacles comes into fruition, the time of fireflies bursts into full bloom. It is then you think back on this advice you got here all those time ago. Somewhere out there, life sure is sweeter. Mindful wisdom, create inner harmony. This card synchronizes with the High Priestess. In an overall mood and advice, find your inner peace first and foremost. Can't put out fires when you yourself are also on fire. You will be able to see through illusions and shadows then. Perhaps due to how stressed you are, the liars and thieves in your vicinity never had to put in much effort to pull wool over your eyes. When you find that inner peace and balance, the wool comes off, and in a sudden flash of clarity, as predicted by the King of Swords, You cut through their lies. Be stable internally. Don't let them know you are onto them. Collect your evidence in the dark. Keep and hold a presentable front and let them continue lying. When you have enough evidence, boom, the King of Swords slashes straight through. Things will move fast at this point. Accusations will fly. More lies will come true. It will test your wisdom and experience to parry and deflect the falsehoods. The sharper your blade, the less you suffer at the 8 of Cups stage, the more you carve out for yourself in the Pentacle stage. The valley you live in can only keep your peace after the sword passes through. That will be all. I will move on to the next card now. Card D6. You are the Lynx. Number 2 representing secrets. Oh, like the orange brain cell here, you are goofy, fun, petulant, and full of calculations and cat-buckle that sometimes miss the mark. People look at your antics and wonder how you lived to adulthood. But you have a secret. People underestimate you. That is how you have gotten to adulthood. You are conventionally beautiful, perhaps blonde or ginger with blue eyes. Statuesque, leggy, and even Masatun. Not quite a Greek god or goddess, but you are proud of your Olympic athlete-like body. You are a proud and ferocious hunter, yet dainty-footed and merry as cherries. Due to your looks, people assume you to be dumb, but they could not be more wrong. You are cunning, very much so. An ambush predator, just like the lynx. And ambushing an ambush brings no greater pleasure. Cutthroat businessman, competitive striker, high bidder, and you sweep away your opponents like a storm. Sometimes you ham up the orange, get caught in camera on purpose, doing stupid things and challenges. You flounder around, how terrible, and you laugh off the footage of your failures and treat them as inside jokes. Because to a certain extent, they are. You both live in a bubble and also control the bubble from outside of it. The mystic's arts aren't foreign to you. You live and breathe magic and control. Only the gods can see your true work, and you are content to keep things this way. Some things should just stay unknown. The Emperor. This is a strong card offered and a very distinct presence. It almost contradicts the links, but we'll see what goes on after. Authority, power, courage, control, leadership, kinghood, divine inheritance, right of rule, destiny, high maintenance, bird's eye view, kingdom, throne, responsibility. The Emperor is a king of kings. The king of pips, the minor arcana, serve him. He is the manifestation of all the kings and the supreme authority over them. Structures will crystallize, the world will change, mountains will sink, and the earth will turn. This card does not refer to you, but someone you will meet. Currently, you feel more like a page. Still a little innocent in the world of power and control, insofar you lack the experience to play the big games with people and magic. So you need the Emperor to break open the sky before you. A lot of things in your life have come to a halt, a stagnation. You have ambition and yearning. but have yet to truly dip your toes into the big leagues. Don't get me wrong, you aren't a minor player and you have some serious skills. But there is a glass ceiling above your head, so you keep swimming into the glass, not realizing that you are technically stationary, despite moving furiously. Unless there is a sudden divine intervention, I doubt you can break past the barrier. So you are stuck in your heights, unable to go further and watching as others catch up to you. If you stay there long enough, it will be everyone struggling against the barrier and no one will get past. But here's the thing, if everyone is a super, then no one is. Wait for the Emperor. That is the advice I have for you. The Ace of Wands. When the Emperor comes, smashes the glass ceiling, and goes away, you have now been handed an opportunity. You wait like a sapling in a forest, 50 years a sprout. Then, when the canopy opens up, you rush against all the other sapling, winner takes all, and you are not keen to lose. You want to be a titan, to be a monstrous giant, reaching through the canopy as an emergence. Grasp your chance and shoot up. That break of light will only exist for a short period of time. Seize the day. Knight of Cups. You grow thirsty on the trip and stop to drink. You are worried that others will run past you, but so far you have been racing in the desert and you see no other people around you. It does not seem like you have seen many people, or any at all since you reached the desert. So drink up. You need that water and the emotional hydration that comes with it. When you come across an oasis, appreciate it. Better, slow and steady and hydrated, than fast, furious and burnt from the inside out. Don't forget your nobility as you travel. Treat others with grace and respect. This is an internal trial as much as a journey. What you come across will teach you better than any master. 10 of Pentacles. You are blind and unknowing of the wealth and riches that you have. You are like the couple here chatting amongst themselves. It is not that you are poor or that you are suffering in poverty, but they are unknowing of how deep the well is and where the food and water comes from. They just eat and drink in relative luxury as well. But there are other people overseeing these affairs. Some from the tower here, one as the old man. The ones in the tower see how much wealth and opportunities that you are not appreciating or using, and see the glorious amount of waste that you create with each chance that slides by. They vent to each other and keep you out of their systems. The old man behind you sees everything, including them. The old men don't do much about what they see. It's just young people doing young things. But they can't help but be a little disappointed. You clearly could have been more. They aren't going to force you on the road either. Towards you, they are rather passive. If only you would turn around and try to see everything, to peer through the illusions and see everything that it is. Know where your food comes from, know where your water flows from. Understand those who support you, their flaws and tribulations, and those who set themselves against you. You don't have to interfere with all the events, but so long as you keep in around, there will always be a possibility that someone more sinister and cunning will move right in, chew you up, and spit you out. Think clearly, see clearly, act clearly. You do have an opportunity to be the old man. But first, your journey is long and tough, full of experiences. But you have to experience things in order to be the old man and one day be the emperor. There is only so much you can do with the things that you do not know. Shield your energy. Look beneath the surface. I'm gonna be honest, your cards came out with interference. You have your own innate magic, and it both lubricates and flicks out random connections. I can trade a secret with you. I'm a seal breaker. Part of my job in the spiritual world is to break open seals. The way you manufacture your magical shielding to protect yourself, whether innate or on purpose, is designed with a lock. All it takes is someone with the correct key to break things open. The key forgers who can open your lock should be at least a middling grade, less common than the deluge of randoms on the internet sprinkling swords, but not uncommon either. Higher graded people will have forged an innate master key, but those kind of people are extremely rare, and it takes a specialist mastery at the very least to be able to do that. I don't think you have met those kind of people, and I don't think you have pissed off any of them. So your lock isn't coming under expert scrutiny. For your info, a middle grade practitioner can crack your safe open. So keep that in mind. As a seal breaker, I'm rather immune to traps, which I can tank the damage of anyway. You didn't set up any. In fact, all I have to do is throw myself at your shield and it shatters like sugar glass they use in movies instead of real glass. It only looks like real glass to low-level scryers. The mid-range ones might fumble, but then they are often experienced enough to poke around the edges and they'll see that you left a lock. I don't know why there's a backdoor access there. It's like you're tempting me to break both for shits and giggles. Sometimes when some archaeologists or other cut open entrances to tombs, I get called to remove the seals, curses and traps by the spirits. Let me tell you, those tombs are a fine place for the wandering or cursed dead to enter together. You need an above mid-grade fire affinity and control to bust their ass open. I don't get paid enough and my sleep is disturbed for that too, so... Okay. In one of my past lives, I knew a princess who was extremely proficient with necromancy, the control of spirits and the dead. When I died, it was an agreement between us that she used my skull to construct her tomb. That tomb was designed to exist within interstitial places. There was no door or doorway because it exists as the way and not a location. There is no entrance because it is not a space. It is not a space. It is not a destination. In the terms of interstitial existences, you are completely vulnerable. That's it. Same with anyone else, because it is truly something that will never be known to mankind unless experienced firsthand. That tomb probably no longer physically exists and has since been crushed by the sands of time. But she is still alive to this day, in a sense. When I say alive, it is because of her necromantic skills. She exists in such a state that it is impossible to collect her soul. She has priests serving her and maintaining that place. But I'll say that in modern times, that place is more akin to a spaceship floating along inside space-time, where you can say that she is everywhere. To locate her, she is nowhere. She does not exist, yet is clearly there. You might think that you have reached the peak of your skills, but I can confidently tell you that you are only a mid-grade, a struggling mid-grade in fact. You know of experts in the field, but you do not know how terrifying they are and do not know what they can do. The world is much bigger than you can imagine. And that is one of the main reasons why you can no longer progress upwards. Your sight is limited and your paths narrow. Your base is crooked and the foundation poor. Just where have you been getting your informations? Your weaknesses feel so systemic. It's like a fracturing pattern. The grounds you build on are gummy and bouncy. How can you expect to climb anywhere of note? Another way your shoe can be breached is with passive access. All the other has to do is to camouflage, wait, and you will leave the door open long enough to allow them to enter in. Barely any magical skills is needed, and they are in your sanctuary. If you do not trust me, you have no reason to. Take a screenshot and send it to someone else to decipher. Only the screenshot and crop out my channel. You can arrange your own cards to mimic mine if you're worried that they have also watched this video. You don't want them to cheat with forewarning available so that they can bullshit you. Allow them to draw their own cards to clarify the situation. You can scoop out the good stuff and live with it. I'm repeating myself now, so I'll end this and move on to the next card. Bye! Card D8. You have the Raven. Number 23, representing news. Commonly, as with crows, ravens are seen in a terrible light. They are viewed as the harbingers of death and disease, and as scavengers they do follow behind and look for corpses and flesh. Like other corvids such as crows, they have territories and areas they defend. They have a complex social relationship and a wide range of personalities. Ravens are highly intelligent and can create their own language and learn specific range of calls from their parents and community. This does create a bit of a barrier when ravens of different locations interact with each other. Ignoring their territorial tendencies, the language difference can make getting along harder, though not impossible. But this is strict raven-to-raven relationship. Ravens are also intelligent and adaptable enough to create relationships with other creatures, most famously wolves. Ravens learn wolves' body language and social cues, then invite and play with young wolves. After several generations, the wolves and ravens grow, hunt, and play together. This partnership is deeper than playmates and friendships. Ravens' roosting serves as an early alarm system. What disadvantages the wrong wind direction creates can be helped or negated by a high perch. The same, short of other flying predators, most ground-dwelling ichthys capable of climbing up trees will have to deal with getting past a guarded wolf den to get to the raven's eggs and young. Going further, the ravens can help scout from the skies, looking for large herbivores, roadkill, or weakened animals so that the wolves can easily take them down. As the wolves eat, the ravens can take part in the feast. While the beak of the raven looks thick and powerful, they are not as suited to tearing through thick hide as eagles or hawks. So the teeth of wolves tear through hide and fur of herbivore, allowing the ravens to feast better and easier than hunting the prey themselves. While other omnivorous scavengers forage for vegetation, fruits, and berries, supplementing their diet with carrion, these raven-wolf relationships means the ravens can have a more carnivorous diet, supplementing with vegetation, wood, fruits, and nuts instead. In mythology and spirituality, they are the messengers, companions seeing eyes, and sometimes vehicles of gods. They represent intelligence, companionship, camaraderie, relationships, teamwork, psychic vision, intuition, prophetic abilities, death, rebirth, sickness, and loss. Their meanings are as complex as their lives. Temperance, the card of balance. Moderation, alchemy, change, peace, work, communication, negotiation, diplomacy, and regulation. Temperance is a person that steps in between two worlds. The worlds are as different as air and the earth, life and death, rich and poor. She mixes the worlds together, creating something more magical and more mystical than either of each by themselves. It is in the addition of the other that more can arise, for 1 plus 1 equals not 2, but more than 2. Dissolve the boundaries between the two and find an equilibrium. Do not let one overpower the other. This is a study of relationships, how water affects oil, how heat rises and cold sinks, the turn of the earth and the rise of the sun. Everything in this world shares a relationship with the other. This world, the beyond, the other, they too have a relationship with this world you live in. Fortunately, information is easy to access with the internet and its libraries. Unfortunately, so is misinformation. Big stores don't mean accurate records. Published books don't mean agreed reality. The classics have lies and mythologies have errors. Some have become so obscured and written over that no one knows what truly happened. Science changes, technology improves, humans roam and distribute. You have to bring up the wisdom of the temperers, control what information enters and leaves, compare relevant information and each other, piece together the puzzle and find out the truth. You may have a talent in scrying, but as a temperance advice, you have more training and learning to do. 4 of Swords, Lost, Eternal Rest, Fatality, Grief, Burial, Night Prayers, Solitude, Towards and emerging from conflict, Fear, Worry. Coming with the Wyvern card, I sense that you need to let go of some emotions. Grief, longing, loss, love. When you lay down to rest, hand over the negativity in your heart. You may be excessively trying to contact a past loved one, and in doing so, you are preventing their eternal rest. In addition, the summoning for seance or card readings, crystal balls crying all over your board isn't perfect. It seems like the processes and rituals you are trying to endure isn't perfect either. It is causing damage to both your spirit and their soul. Every summon, every ritual, their soul is breaking apart. Sooner or later, you will catch the attention of more severe figures in the underworld. Their actions towards you will not be kind. The ravens serve as a warning, as they are the cursory gatekeepers and psychopomps. They gather and are sounding alarm. Stop your actions towards the dead. In temperance, leave things be. If you are trying to connect to a living person, their energy has this protection that causes your grip to slide around them like you are catching an eel. There could be extra spiritual influences in the distance staying out the way from this reading, but I'm not gonna dig them up about this. This is about you, not them. Their protection and spirits are keeping their energy feel slippery and bouncy. So my advice is not to try. For those that are in between, spending and sending your energy to extend someone's life, my advice is to let go. Send the living off, let the dead pass. 7 of Swords. Your fence is being stolen. Your boundaries are being trespassed. This may have come from wrongly trusting someone, or this may come directly from your own actions. In terms of trust, you have kept serpents against your bosom. Allow them into your house, sleep on your bed, and eat from your tables. They are closer to your heart than your breast. You could have been betrayed, and are trying to seek magical means to control the situation or turn things around. Things aren't going to work as well as you might think. First of all, the spirits involved are refusing to aid your affair, and the spirits that are helping you are doing this reluctantly. They are helping you and expecting things to blow up in your face. Eyes are awakening. The spirits still helping you are biting off more than they can chew. They can't see those eyes watching them. Both them and you are going to suffer very serious consequences. If you have watched Stephen King horror movies, it will be something in between Pet Sematary and It. Both It movies. It is possible that you saw their death as a betrayal of your kinship. If that's the case, seek professional help, cause no psychic or tarot reader can staunch this wound. Seeing death as an abandonment or betrayal is common amongst those who never learned to protect loss, to process loss, or those who never got over their abandonment issues. You have let your emotions and the lack of emotional control cloud your rationality. The card of swords, while one of the most painful cards in the pips, also stands for rationality, intelligence, and decisions. In certain sword pips, they also stand for smaller forms of justice and judgment. If you are the one contacting the dead and stirring them from their sleep, then you are their betrayer. They cannot rest because you refuse to let them go. It is actively damaging to them. Their spiritual processes after death is much more complex than going to heaven or hell. This entire side of the underworld and afterlife requires all the pieces to be put in order before the next action or process can continue. I can't say too much about it because you are the kind to try and use them against me or to further sabotage the process. It ain't personal, so don't make it so. Go be butthurt somewhere else. Guardian, guard your energy. Now, what did I say about your energy field fracturing? You need to protect your energy by staying away from energetically extensive things. You might think that watching videos online is safe enough, but you forget that energy is not restricted by cameras and screens. To read information, to hear information, to think through and of magical information alters your own magical field. You might not notice it since you are not trained to detect energetic changes in yourself, but it definitely happens. How strong of a shift or change depends on the situation and other factors. So right now, it's equivalent to sitting in the sea spray, watching people play on the beach, while you have open injuries in the sun. Other than feeding parasitic, blood-sucking mosquitoes, the salt in the air is getting into your wounds. The more you refuse to close yourself up, the worse your injuries will become. Ravens and wolves have a special relationship. The ravens are flocking. Stay weak and vulnerable, and the wolves will come to feast. It is part of nature to clean up the weak, and you, my dear, are rather weak at the moment. An additional message. Hecate, the three-eyed goddess, is unhappy with you. She is also known as the three-headed goddess, the goddess of crossroads, boundaries, gateways, and magic. You have trespassed on her territory and taken a shit on the crossroads. She was kind enough to send ravens to warn you. There will not be another warning. Spiritual evolution. Set your heart free. A third warning from the underworld. Powers are stirring. And if you continue to mess with the dead, they will pull you under and drown you. Be content that you are alive. Stop peering behind the veil. Free yourself. Let the dead rest. This is the end. I will move on to the next card now. Card D9, we have the horse. Number 24, representing freedom. Now, horses are majestic creatures. Many people will agree. I once saw online where someone was trying to explain a horse. You put in grass and speed comes out. Very succinct. Props to that guy for figuring things out. Horses, like all draft animals, were the cornerstones of civilization. Due to limitations in technology, what would take 10 modern people to do took hundreds or even thousands to create in the past. Roads could be paved in hours, when in the past it might take weeks or longer. You get one experienced guy with a roller compactor and he can flatten a long stretch of road, and another two guys in an asphalt paver. Add one more as a supervisor, two other guys to test the levelness of the road, and one more to finish off the asphalt with a protective seal coat. The last extra to paint surfaces and road signs. This takes like 1 or 2 days, given that asphalt needs time to heat up, cool down, and possibly cure among other things. 3 days tops. Not considering the paperwork, weather, and human factor, of course. Some stretches of roads takes years to lay. In the past, roads were commonly dirt paths that enough people walked till the ground compacted and ensured that weeds will never grow. At best, they'll get a guy with a horse, set them up with something that looks like a plow almost rigged by one, and a nice rolling stone to drag or roll on the ground to keep weeds out and carriages non-bouncy. To lay stones, to gather soil, to place roads, it took so much effort. Only main cities had decent roads. Everywhere else was just common footpaths. That was why medieval texts featured so many people getting lost on roads. When human travel and activity was low, weeds grew over the paths. People leaving their village to return in the harvesting season at the end of the year could find themselves turned around. Many medieval fantasies miss out the fact that life wasn't convenient, and we do take many things right now for granted. For this horse card, it is clear that the main message is to run free. Horses love to travel. They, like hamsters, run for fun. Except hamsters run on wheels and horses run across landscapes in the wild. One fun fact was that horses ran at such speed that people did not know how their legs moved. Horses don't normally do what we call jogging. Most of the times, they have to be trained to canter, trot, or gallop. Icelandic horses were famous for this. A genetic mutation that has to be received from both parents allows the Icelandic horse to trot in a certain manner, unachievable by other species of horses. So a common theme in medieval artists drawing horses running is that the legs tend to bend wrong, or their galloping position is wrong. That would be the equivalent of humans traveling by hopping forward on both legs, pogo stick style, but without a pogo stick. Horses also have a very delicate gastrointestinal system. They can't barf. So if they eat something poisonous, they can puke it out. So the only other option is to shit it out. Having poisonous things in your guts for long hours is a surefire way to kill you. Many horses die daily from maliciously ignorant joggers and people walking their dogs. The dogs or they poop. Then they scoop it up and throw it over the fence. The horse is attracted to the poop because of the high green content in human diets. They eat it and die as a result. Sometimes the poop is covered in plastic as they are scooped into plastic bags. This clogs up the internal digestive systems of horses and the horse dies a slow, painful death from starvation or rupturing stomaches. In the show community and horse racing, it is notorious that the animals they keep are in poor conditions. Some have a sense of decency and morals to not treat their animals badly, but most are in for the cash. Beating, sweeping, kicking, and forcing them to overwork dramatically shortens their lifespan of show and work horses. Race horses have the extra torture of being loaded up on steroids, then unceremoniously disposed of when younger, fitter horses arrive, yet to be crushed by the abuse that ensures race horses will have a poor and often violent temperament nearing the end of their days of use. The more abusive the conditions, the faster the turnover. Spiritually, horses represent strength, power, speed, companionship, work, labor, nobility, freedom, independence, triumph, competitiveness, and grace. Are you getting married? I'm getting a union vibe of someone officiating or declaring your marriage. The hierophant themselves only do so for important people. Or that's like the Pope showing up to declare two villagers married. The commoners get low-ranking village priests or town pastors. Higher nobles can get bishops and so, but only the king and queen get popes to do so. The papacy has a strange relationship with the crown as they both grant and control each other's powers. It is not always equal in reality. French, English, and Italian history, plus the history of the papacy itself, has never been smooth sailing. In this new union, the keys of knowledge and unlocking secrets were handed out. So I wonder what you got out of this. It may not be a made love or made cute in the way of fantasy, and it is likely there are some forms of arranged marriage here. I'm not against arranged marriage so long that both parties mutually agree. In reasonable arranged marriages, the couple stays together longer than romantic marriages, often because there is already a mutual agreement to work together on the forefront. Ignoring the kind of arranged marriage where the spouse is literally sold off to the other, of course, it could be a mutual dating site of a certain nobility for people in wealth or power, like a CEO dating site. The thought of that is hilarious. There isn't nearly enough female CEOs to go around. Worst of all is that women in male-dominated fields are usually even more vicious than cruel than the men. A painful fact that you have to double down on the insanity to strive above the environment that systematically works to keep you down as a woman. The Queen of Swords, the mother of truth, justice, decisions, deliberation, authority, power, mercy, slaughter, action, intelligence, and cunning. She is no soft enemy, but a lioness for her kingdom. You may seek to protect your wards with swords and justice, but you would prefer to solve things without violence. During negotiations, when the shouting begins, the shouter loses. Keep calm, keep level-headed, and slice through the decisions like hot knife through butter. You don't even have to get up from your seat. You can stay comfy and seated, and the enemy will fall to pieces at your feet. There is an air of cold calculation, but you are not a figure who knows nothing of mercy. You are seen as cold because the ones you are facing often have no empathy. They cannot see things beyond a certain narrow viewpoint, their own viewpoints for their own benefit, and in so become startled and aggrieved at your decisions that seem to pick on them. But you are not. Your decisions are fair and calm. It is they who are flawed and weak. The King of Wands. I see the marriage now. So this is your partner. You live in a world of swords and cold steel. You might even sleep on a bed of nails. One day you meet another, possibly a man or an opposite gender. They were a person of warmth. Curiously, they managed to achieve or inherit a station that is equal or near to yours, and managed to retain kindness, warmth, growth, innocence, empathy, and grace. They met your blade with flowers, pen with songs, checkers with plushy chess pieces. They were aggravating and confounding. You might have thought that they were mocking you in the beginning, but soon you realized that they weren't. Amusingly, it looks like they didn't notice that they were romancing you, the famed Iron Maiden. They were being their natural selves. Too natural. It looks like their guard dropped pretty fast. They didn't seem to know it, but they were treating you like a bosom buddy from day one. So it's not that they aren't naturally friendly, it is that they got friendly too fast. If they had close friends watching them from the side, those friends might complain that it took you negative seconds to be their best friends when it took them many years and many rounds of beers. When you guys get hitched, no one is surprised. Some might even roll their eyes and complain some more, and demand gifts for being the ones to introduce you guys. All in good ribbing, of course. The Knight of Wands. Two options here. Either this union came with kids on either side, or either of you have a dedicated hype man. This poor knight is a puppy dog personality, like a golden retriever. His only ambition is to play fetch with you guys. So he slots himself very naturally into the position of passing love letters, messages, date nights, and help you guys book restaurants, plane tickets, and vacation schedules. A dedicated butler or secretary. This guy was practically born to serve the royalty. He'll roll the red carpet to your wedding, be the ring bearer and the life of the party. He wants to please you so badly you can hear his tail thumping outside the door as he barks at the two of you to encourage you guys doing sex. It might hurt him a little when you tell him to back off, but same with dog training. You have to teach him to respect your boundaries so they don't accidentally eat your medication and poison themselves. Soul fragments. Balance will be restored. It looks like you have an old injury, a deep mental or spiritual scar. Physically, it might not show up. But you see this blank here? It looked like a horse trying to get a neck hug. You have a big puppy as a friend and it has been healing. There isn't much you demand from life as the things you want, you go and get. So there aren't much things you will ask the spirits to help. Other than a cursory warning, you are a heavily independent soul. But the time your spirit and guides turn their attention to you, you have already gotten what you want. They feel kinda useless, and it might manifest as this puppy dog here, whining and scratching at your door, begging for a task. You need to treat them as working dogs and assign tasks for them. They are so bothered to you that they barely have any self-direction. It can be quite dangerous for the puppy boy here, as they are not vulnerable to manipulation. Any extended time away from you guys means that their psyche disintegrates easily. It can be easy for a skilled manipulator to plant messages and cause them to do actions that will harm everyone involved. So you do need to train them to be more independent and think for themselves. Their dopamine levels can't rely on your existence. You patched up your injury, but as the puppy boy here was exposed to you in a time where you were not, they physically mimicked your energy without knowing. Unlike you guys, they don't have the resources or skills to fix themselves or get help from the correct area. In other words, they are now a walking weakness into your heart, and they are tools to be used against you by your enemies. Do you understand me? As you train them up, you might find that they have certain fractures, and you have those same fractures that have not fully healed. Take the time and effort to heal yourself before you help others. Together, everyone can be a bit more whole and rounded. That will be all. I will move on to the next card now. D10, we have Peregrine Falcon. Number 25, representing observation. Peregrine falcons have always been the symbols of nobility and royalty. Amongst all the empires we consider earth-changing or myth-cementing, most of them have had falcons as their pets. The Egyptians, the Arab tribes, the nomadic Asians, the British, Native Americans, Norse folk, Holy Roman Empire, Mesopotamia, and many more. So you get my point. They are like the working dogs of the skies, an extraordinarily small bird for the fastest land animal on Earth, able to dive at 186 miles or what is also known as 300 kilometers per hour. Unlike larger birds of prey, they do not grasp their prey with their claws to break their neck. No, They extend their claws to slash at their quarry, incapacitating or killing them outright. Their favorite prey are often rock pigeons and mid-sized ducks, so in comparison with the rest of the bird of prey, they adapted just fine alongside humans and high-rise buildings. It can be a problem when skyscrapers have what is essentially a murder window, as the glass planes of the buildings reflect the sky behind and around them so perfectly that many birds, not limited to peregrine falcons, fly into the surface and kill themselves. It's a general problem for all bird kind living in close contact with humans. Another problem was that the widespread use of DDT, a chemical pesticide that bioaccumulates through the ecosystem, focusing itself in the top predators. DDT causes eggshells to thin, amongst other issues, killing the bird fetus before they have a chance to develop. With increased environmental efforts, DDT have since been largely banned. Some populations of peregrine falcon subspecies did get too low for sufficient genetic diversity, so it caused a small drama when conservation efforts included mixing several species together to create a stable enough population to be released into the wild. It's about the same as European bisons, where by accident or on purpose an extremely small population of bisons were bred with another species, creating the hybrids that now roam the introduced wilds. Historically, falcons were closer to men that owned them than their wives, arguably the man's best friend but with wings instead of a fluffy tail. Falconry uses more species than peregrine falcons, but no one can doubt the peregrine's esteemed status. Falconry is still greatly practiced in the Middle East and Europe. Countries like Australia have a larger legal requirement in order to keep birds of prey captive. As suggested earlier, a benefit of keeping falconry active as a sport and conservation care means that such falconers can hunt and cull rock pigeons, magpies, and turtledoves. These birds may seem harmless aside from the outrageous volumes of bird guano staining the outside of windows, buildings, and streets, but bird collisions mid-air can bring down airplanes. Not that falconry itself and its practice hasn't its fair share of controversy. There will always be cruelty in the usage of animals. It takes a very experienced and wise system and its trainers to encourage, tame, and bribe the birds to return to the falconer with prey instead of flying out into the wild. You can argue that drones armed with modified air pellet guns do better than falcons with the pest bird population, but I'll argue that prey birds know and remember through their genes to be terrified of predator calls and shape rather than the buzzing of drones. Also, burps are cuter. Burp over bot any day of the week. Spiritually, falcons represent wisdom, the hunt, protection, the sun, rulers, accuracy, efficiency, keen sight, quest, and the messenger of gods. As with the card depiction, falcons were sacred to the Egyptians. The Eye of Horus is used as a sacred symbol representing psychic and keen sight. To be able to see through illusions, lies, and falsehoods. The reason the symbol was used in protection, alongside invoking Horus. Horus himself was said to partially descend and act through the pharaohs, making them demigod or physical gods. To a certain extent, as with most religious and political environments, every era has its changes and differences, its tyrants and its benevolent leaders. As such, to keep the symbol and religious representation alive within themselves and to consolidate powers, a sweet move was to gain the favor of and train peregrine falcons to obey. Plus, hunting have always been a luxury sport for kings and rulers, so having excellent hunting dogs, noble steeds, and peregrine falcons complete the set. These beautiful birds are a symbol of kinship and nobility. Those associating with them certainly don't scorn the friendship. The Empress. Jeez. You are really dipping into the royalty reference here. A symbol of power, femininity, sexual prowess of a woman, fertility, authority, matriarchy, creativity, decisions, stability, responsibility, and leadership. The Empress is a queen of queens and the manifestation of all the queens and acclamation of all the queens of Thebes. The queen of the empire, she decides and annexes the rule of the realm. She is the sum of the feminine powers, the authority of growth, fertility, genesis, gentleness, beauty, compassion, and wisdom. But don't forget that the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles are facets of the Empress. To underestimate her because she is a woman is to underestimate a warrior queen born of 1,000 battles and the economic backbone of her kingdom. She is the mother of her people and a fierce lioness, the protector of her cubs. With her blessings, crops flourish. With her curse, babies perish. The Emperor. You are definitely blue-blooded or born into great wealth and power. There may be a trace of divinity in your bloodline, not limited to the Egyptians. I sense some Mongolians or North nomadic Tundra Asians. You seem familiar with the marching of it. The Emperor is very similar to the Empress, pretty much the same, just the male version. He is the symbol of power, control, masculinity, sexual prowess of a man, virility, authority, patriarchy, action, decisions, stability, responsibility, and leadership. He is the King of Kings, the manifestation of kings, and the amalgamation of all the kings of Thebes. As the King of the empires, he rules with an iron fist. He is the sum of the masculine powers, the authority of war, courage, vitality, intelligence, control, excellence, and fatherhood. As with the stereotypes and common understanding of masculine powers, he is negatively expected to be cold, emotionless, heartless, and cruel. All of those he is not. The Emperor is a true man who shares his emotions, joys, and grief. He freely hugs, kisses, and tells his soldiers and men that he loves them. He has the compassion and emotional insight of the King of Cups, the playful temperament of the fire attribute King of Wands. Wouldn't expect the noble king to be a prankster? Well, neither do his enemies. He'll wear them down with taunts, play dirty, spook them for giggles, then strike with the force of a meteor. Or should I say, strike with the precision of a peregrine falcon. The Knight of Pentacles. It has been a hard journey up to this moment of your life. Currently, you are in the peak of your career. This Knight represents and reveals your past. You are a careful and cautious person by nature. Slow, steady, you take hard, unyielding steps in a world set against you. It's slightly suspicious, for the things you have experienced in the past makes me suspect you have no divine or royal lineage, but it seems like you do. At this point of time, you have not discovered or realized the extent of it. At the very least, back then you didn't. You may have blamed your bloodline, your family, and lineage with the curse you bear. I am not certain of the curse, as this is not that kind of tarot reading. This is a reading for the animal spirit that has chosen you and are trying to manifest in your life. It only takes your acknowledgement and actions to proceed forward. The curse may not exist, but you are sure of a debt, an oppression, a crushing force out to get you. This night, the night of your past, trudge through wailing winds and blasting sands. Every step has to be firm because you will be blown back half or 3/4 of a step for every foot forward. In rare instances, when the wind lets down, you spur your steed forward. Inch by inch, you creep forward to your destination. In your arms, you hold a prize. It is a secret that you bore, a shining stone of majestic grace. You have depended on it in hard times and used its power sparingly. You are unwilling to fully unleash its powers, believing it to bring disasters. And somehow you never got a hint that you have a relationship to a powerful figure. I am sure that figure still holds power and awe today. You won't appreciate my next word, because I'm telling you, you got lucky. It sounds like I'm dismissing your trials and tribulations, but I'm being honest here. I can see the amount of troubles that hit you and the ones that didn't. To be fair, if you made it through the kingship trials, you would have been the next Genghis Khan. You have also died several times over. That might be an inkling to the nature of the thing you call a curse. It looks embedded in the bloodline. An active and passive force to push out the next king, the next warlord, the next empire. That force is also running high on pipe dreams. It might have something to do might meant something in the days of bows and arrows, but now... Ugh. Your bloodline blessings needs a system update. Queen of Pentacles. This is the you now. I'm not saying that you're a woman. The cards are technically gender neutral, and it's more of a symbolism thing than a gender and sexuality thing. The you now is the Queen of Pentacles, nursing your wealth. Material wealth, leadership, control, authority, stability of the empire, wisdom, cultivator, sharp business acumen. You are a dependable person, seen and treated as a founder regardless of where you are. You sit under the silence of roses, and your clique speaks to you truthfully, without reserve or shame, knowing they will not be judged in bias. Together, you solve your issues with the world outside, none the wiser to how close they came to losing it all. Your decisions affect millions. There is a hidden hair here, nicely blended and camouflaged. The hair is on your side. I prefer staying out of sight, so that it will be something to confirm on your end. Whatever it is, it's cute. 9 of Swords. Past regrets haunt you. Some traumas are reappearing or have accumulated enough to cause sleepless nights. Crushing, malevolent fear overwhelms you. You may not have acted in the best in your younger years, despite your caution that past history is coming to head. Well, karma is karma. I have no advice to avoid it. I'll tell you to face it head on, but from your perspective, I might as well have been telling you to book an appointment with a guillotine. Pain is old and constant. You believe that the curse is creeping closer. From what I see, it's the same distance as ever. You probably need to hash this out with a therapist. I can't psychic your trauma out. That takes professional psychological help. You have the means to get a good therapist, but it's the shame and attention on what you see as your weakness that stops you. Part of it might be the fear of leaking out secrets. The best you can do is research. Research the shit of your therapist candidates. That's one thing you can do. Publicly supporting mental health help can lubricate your access to a good professional, as well as disguise your pain. You are not a newbie in society, you know the rules. Charity is social bribery. Bribe enough of the public and they will look the other way when you yourself receive help. For those that don't look the other way, a nice pair of rose-tinted glasses helps. Being a hypocrite will only backfire. Seeking help isn't weak. Aren't you the King and Queen of Cups? Where is your inner wisdom in recognizing your own pain and suffering? You need a professional, you know that as well as I do. Seek help. Secret temptations, being led astray. You are cracking from torture. breaking from the inside out. You may be experiencing a dark night of the soul currently, and according to my knowledge, this isn't scheduled for you right now. This ain't a part of your trials. This is 100% your own actions that caused this to yourself. You have succumbed to your own weakness in the end. The weakness of the flesh, addiction, tyranny, gluttony, the works. You can't tough it out. You can't tough out the dark night of the soul, because the only way to truly break out is to refine and better yourself. When people give time limit for the dark night of the soul, they are mainly mistaking getting used to the boiling water as the pain of soul disappearing, which is not. It's still there. By its very nature, the night emerges from the soul as a facet of its own shadow consuming its origins. You cannot remove the shadow the same way you cannot remove dimensionality from time. The law of physics, the law of metaphysics. You need professional help to begin piecing together your soul and ending the night. I'm done here, I'm moving on now. Card 11, we have the polar bear, representing ancestors, number 26. Well, this reminds me of the online saying, if it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, good night. Just a saying on the internet. Yet I am getting the sensation, lay down. You can't fight this battle. What must come will come. You seem to be related to the Inuit tribes or the Sami. I don't feel any Norse Vikings here. Though to be fair, it's not a very strong relation, it seems. Well, genetically speaking, polar bears are white variations of brown bears. Through my teenage years, I have been bombarded with global warming, the hole in the ozone, SPFs, and so on and so forth. For this problem of the Earth, the scientists banded together and fought legislation, turning over the most harmful effects. And nowadays, the ozone layer is repairing itself. Slowly and painfully for those living near or on the ice and poles, but healing. This is no time to breathe a sigh of relief because every era has its dynasty of chaos and strife. Polar bears hunt mainly by sneak attacks and ambush as their prey. The ringed seals rest near breathing holes they carve out with their teeth in the ice. The polar bears have white and translucent fur that breaks the shape of the outline and camouflages them against the bright reflective eyes. Their nose is black, so in documentaries, you will sometimes see polar bears sploot and wiggling forward with their paws covering their nose so the seal can't see them as they slowly creep forward. Healthy polar bears eat mainly skin and fat, the most nutritious part, leaving plenty of flesh behind. In the warm summer seasons where the ice melts and polar bears are forced onto or stranded on land, they can eat grass. However, that grass isn't nutritious enough to sustain a polar bear or help build bulk they need when they return when the ice comes back. Many of these stranded bears have begun colonizing villages and towns nearest to the shore, digging through trash, breaking into homes, killing pets and livestock alike. Due to their very extremely opportunistic nature, humans are in much more danger meeting a polar bear than a brown bear. A brown bear might consider if you are worth the effort to chase down and eat. Polar bears won't, they just go for it. Because of this, the conflicts between polar bears and humans are much more severe and frightening, despite being less frequent than brown bear encounters. In general research, it is found that the damage brown bear cause are just about average when compared to the other species of bears, so the infamy of violence and aggression may just be that, infamy. I have heard of many stories where filming crews go out and are stalked by the natives or law enforcement who will force them to bring a gun for safety. They know how dangerous it is to be out there with the bears. From what I understand of parts of Inuit culture, they see animals as living spirits, and that it is an animal that chooses to sacrifice itself to you. So you, the hunter, need to show your prey utmost respect and praise it for its sacrifice. Of course, there are many Inuit tribes, and not all of them are automatically one nation due to shared general history and cultural similarity. That belief I've spoken of may belong only to a family, let alone a tribe. The IUC and Red List had the polar bears as vulnerable for many years, although in recent times, some populations have begun increasing or have reached stable states. Spiritually, polar bears represent strength, power, force, adaptability, triumph over challenges, protection, and uniqueness. The devil, the master of temptation, vices, desires, pleasures, violence, sadism, depravity, pettiness, spite, subordination, slavery, torture, and despair. You don't feel innocent in this entire affair. Having the ancestors and devil card come out together implies that you are suffering from generational trauma. It may have induced a familiar cycle of abuse, alcoholism, and torture. For years you suffered as a child. You told everyone that you grew up fast, but that is a lie. You aged in body, but your soul and emotions stayed trapped as the devil's prisoners. You stole from the wealth of your children the same way your parents stole from you, and theirs to them. It has, as it always has been, and it will continue to be. You are a slave to your desires. In a more positive reading, I may be able to claim that the devil represents passion and fun, but all I can read from these is depression and rage. Self-hatred boils in your flesh and your blood strangles your veins. In this deck review of A to D, I don't read reverse cards, but this card has only its reverse meanings present right now, and I can feel that it affects everything else. Three of Pentacles. Okay, I'm very sure now that you are not innocent. There is a conspiracy afoot. Somewhere in the dark temple of a church grounds, you defiled a god. You betrayed your position, their trust, and the trust of the community. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. You definitely pissed off the Lord of Hosts. That's why the devil has shown up here. Blasphemy and desecration of the holy is not a light sin to bear. I did worse in one of my early past life to Buddha. Not fun. Ended up in abusive for multiple lives. It was something that screwed me over for many reincarnations even after I left. Unlike you, I worked hard to redeem and renew myself. Can't say the same for you. You got caught. You rage and seethe, but I see you. You're not upset that you did the deed. You're upset that it didn't work out happily for you. You have not done enough to warrant the same punishment as me. I'm sure, but how light or how heavy your sentencing is unknown to me. I'm not the judge. I'm a house servant who follows orders. Still on vacation though. You didn't stop at bearing false witness. You misled an entire generation as you drank to your own glory, and they toasted to your name, unknowing. Two of Cups. Here's your conspiracy in action. You walked out into the sun and daylight, then light again to gain trust and respect. One party here, the innocent. The other party here, guilty. A matrimony of curses began. Your presence here taints these cards. Good thing I pray to Kalima before and after for her help to cleanse and purify the cards. If you got shit to spray, then take it out with her. You pissed off one elder god. Why not stop at one? Go for another two. Knight of Swords. Justice against you. Retribution came quick. Once the cards are down, so did the gavel of the judge. The moment people found clues against you, everyone couldn't be quick enough to spill the beans. You've never known a canary song until your friends and family turned against you. Oh, how they sang. Even up to this moment, you still see yourself as innocent. You truly lack the ability of comprehension. Or do you? Your kind of criminality and depravity are both symptoms and actions of your broken soul and upbringing. Still a child at heart, in the worst way possible. A giant baby with wrinkles. That's what you are. You block all senses of negativity, yet indulge in its emotions. You know that you are wrong, but who cares if you're wrong? You're winning. So fuck them, fuck this, and fuck you. Divine will. Let go of fear. Yep, you're screwed. You're going to hell. Bye.
Hello! For the outro, I have a special event. Here are the 3 tarot Kickstarters that I've backed. I've actually backed 4 tarot Kickstarters, but one of them looked like it used a lot of AI. I'm fine with AI when it's used in a clarifying process or when polishing the work, but the quality I received was just terrible. The entire thing looked so lazy. The worst part was that the major arcanas used mythological creatures and gods, and none of them fit nicely. I had so many complaints looking through them that I've decided to discount the entire thing from my next showcases. So here are the 3 beautiful decks I've backed. The first is the Runic Oracle Odyssey by Eva Delacorte, the illustrator and creator of these cards. Here is a sample view. The instruction cards. Okay, here you go, the cards. Ta-da! I really dig this dark background and gold accents. If you want to have a tarot showcase, that would be, well, I'll tell you about my plans later. Here's the bag it came in. And the next is the Fable Makers Animated Tarot Set. It's really huge, you can't even fit inside the camera range. Illustrator Kami Ario Pagita, and the writing by Misty Bourne. The company is Hit Point Press. Let's briefly look through them. Link. Here is the booklet. I haven't actually opened up this before. Ta-da! Has a D&D feel.
Look at these holographic cards. The holograph isn't showing on camera, damn it. Left, right, left, right. Yes. Yeah, you can see it. All the cards have a holograph effect, but some aren't as obvious, sadly, through the camera. Oh no! Let me grab the rest. Oof. The protector plastic is still on, so you can see some plasticky look. But oh yeah. Here's our face. There's the rest of the guys who slid under, but here's the bag. And in you go. And the one here we have the Crystal Forest Tarot Deck by Jess Purser. Here's all her accounts. The back. Watercolor trees. I do admit that the words can kind of be hard to see. I need better lighting, but so it's a tiny complaint, tiny. But I'm overall very satisfied with these. Ooh. In you. In. Go in. Okay. Oh no, wait, it's wrong. Well. So now all these three here, I'll try and figure out how to display them as much as possible. So for the next month, for August, I guess, I will be taking the whole of August off for my personal projects, and also I need to catch up with a lot of things and to rest and to actually think through what am I supposed to do with all this. Well, I'll begin on September again. On the first new moon or full moon of September, I'll return with either one of these or all of these. I haven't actually quite decided how I should display them, but there's something to look forward to. And that will be all. Bye!